Jai Hind children, welcome to my YouTube channel SOS Study Point. Student, today I am here with you with the very first chapter from your Moments book of class 9, The Lost Child. Student, today I am here with this chapter. Student, The Lost Child. This is of your book. This is the chapter. This is the very first chapter from your book Moments. So student, before we study the chapter, we should know about the writer. This chapter is written by Mulk Raj Anand, one of the great Indian writer. Student, these are the facts which are related with the life of Mulk Raj Anand. Now student, let us see the facts of Mulk Raj Anand. First, he was an Indian writer in English, notable for his depiction of the lives of the poorer castes in traditional Indian society. He belongs to India, and also he was notable for his depiction of the lives of the poorer caste in traditional Indian society. Now, he was one of the first India-based writer in English to gain an international readership. He became known for his protest novel, Untouchable. This novel, this fiction was very extraordinary, Untouchable. This was composed in the year 1935, followed by other works on the Indian poor such as Coolie, which was composed in 1936, and Two Leaves and a Bird. Next one is, he is also noted for being among the first writer to incorporate Punjabi and Hindustani idioms into English. So you can think about this, how was the level of Mr. Mulk Raj Anand, and was a recipient of Indian Civil Honor of the Padma Bhushan. He was just honored by the Padma Bhushan. Now you can see here, he wrote The Lost Child in 1934. And the last fact is saying here, this story is aptly titled The Lost Child, since this kid is actually lost in the materialistic world. This chapter, The Lost Child, this is the chapter about a small boy, about a kid who has been just lost in a fear, and also the materialistic world, because he was fascinated with the items which was seen by him in the fair. So let us see and let us try to understand the summary of the story with the help of this video. Have a look, student. Sorry student, let's see again.
The story of The Lost Child by Mulk Raj Anand is about a young boy's innocence and his bond with his parents. It is a bright spring day. There is a fair going on, and everyone in and around the village is traveling to partake of the delights of the fair. Among them is a young boy. He skips and runs happily alongside his parents as they walk to the fair. There are many people traveling along with them. Some of them are moving in bullock carts or horses, while most of them are walking to the fair. The boy's excitement grows as he sees all the people around them. On his way, he sees a toy shop. He loudly proclaims that he wants a toy. His father looks at him sternly. To divert the child's attention, his mother draws his attention towards the mustard fields. There is a vast field of golden yellow mustard fields, and its color excites the boy. The field is also filled with butterflies. The boy is fascinated by the butterflies. As they fly close to him, he tries to catch some of them, but they elude him. His parents call out to him to join them. They have taken shelter in a shaded grove. As soon as the boy enters the grove, a shower of flowers greets him, and he holds out his hand to catch the petals. The boy looks around in wonder, taking in all the sights and sounds of nature. From the grove, they travel along a narrow path to the fair. From the serene world of nature, the boy enters the world of the fair. Its cacophony, sights and smells fascinate and repel him at the same time. The boy stops in front of a sweet shop, tempted by the delightful display of sweets. He wants a barfi, though he knows his parents will not buy it for him. As they walk on, he is attracted by the beautiful garlands of gulmohar in the next shop. Though he wants one around his neck, he knows his parents will call it cheap and refuse him. Brightly colored balloons on a pole greet him next. He stops and gazes at the bright balloons floating in the air. He knows his parents will tell him he's too old to play with them. So he moves on to where a snake charmer is playing his flute. He wants to hear the music, but he knows his parents will forbid it. Finally, he reaches the giant wheel. His eyes shine at the giant wheel, keeping on turning with its brightly colored lights and people laughing and shouting. He cannot contain himself any longer and clamors to get on it, but his parents do not reply. He turns around, but his parents are not with him any longer. Frightened, he starts howling. He runs here and there trying to find his parents. There are tears in his eyes, and his clothes become dirty. He notices a temple around which many people are gathered. He hopes he can find his parents there, but there are too many people, and he cannot see them. A kind stranger rescues him from the stampede of people. The stranger asks the boy who his parents are, but the boy cannot tell him. He only repeats that he wants his mother and father. The stranger then takes him to the roundabout and asks whether he wants a ride, but the child doesn't want one. The stranger then takes him to Snake Charmer, asking him if he wants to hear the music, but the child closes his ears, crying for his parents. He shakes his head at the pretty balloons. He refuses to put a garland around his neck. Finally, the stranger takes him to the sweet shop, but the child cannot be consoled by the sweets. He continues to cry for his parents.
Now student, thank you for watching this video. Then after that just have a look of this introduction. So if you have any doubt, if you have a little bit doubt with the, due to the video, but I want to tell you with the help of this introduction, The Lost Child is the story of a small child who gets lost in a fair. He had gone with his parents to the fair, but loses them when he gets engrossed in looking at a roundabout swing. Roundabout swing that was just rounding and also swinging in the air. The story highlights the bond of love and affection that the child shares with his parents. Before losing them, he had been demanding different things like sweets, balloons, flowers, swings, etc. Once he loses them, he is picked up by a stranger. The stranger tries to quieten the child by offering him all these things that he had demanded, from his parents, but the child does not want them anymore. He wants his parents first. So, student, this is the very first reaction of a lost child in the fear. You can understand what was the situation of a child when he has been lost that time. So let us see the explain the detailed information. So this is the very first slide after this introduction. It was the festival of spring. You know, it was the time of the festival of spring. From the wintry shade of narrow lanes, the alleys emerged a galley. It means happily clad humanity. Some walked, some rode on horses, others sat, being carried in bamboo and bullock carts. One little boy ran between his father's legs, brimming over with life and laughter. It means he was very joyful. He was very happy that time. Come, child, come, called his parents. Means his parents called him, come, child, come, as he lagged behind, fascinated by the toys in the shops that lined the way. Means in this situation, this child was very happy at the in the fair. He was very fascinated with the toys. He was very fascinated with the items which was seen by the which was seen by the child in the fair. Now he hurried towards his parents after calling by his parents. He hurried towards his parents, his feet obedient to their call. He was just follow the words of his parents, his eyes still lingering on the receding toys. As he come to where they had stopped to wait for him, he cooled his heart, even though he well knew the old cold stare. You know, cold stare, expression that conveys disdain or lack of caring. So, cold stare of refusal in their eyes means here the child can you can see the refusal of the parents in the eyes of the child here. Now he pleaded to his parents, I want that toy. His father looked at him with a red eyed, it means angry eyed. In his fear, familiar tyrants like a cruel ruler. Means his family was very cruel ruler. So, in his familiar tyrant's way, his mother melted to be more loving by the free spirit of the day, was tender and giving him her finger to hold. Said, look, child, what is before you? It was a flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land. So here, parents and his mother was just confusing him that he will not to take that toy. That is why she was just diverting his mind and eyes from the toy, because they don't have sufficient money to give him that toy. So this was the condition of the parents. Here they want to convert their mind. Now a group of dragonflies were bursting about on their gaudy means extravagantly bright purple wings, intercepting, it means obstructing the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. So here this was the scene of nature where the butterflies were there. The child followed them in the air with his gaze till one of them would steal its wing and raced, and he would try to catch it. So the child was very happy with the butterfly, and when he saw that butterfly, then he was trying to catch that butterfly. So he just followed the butterfly in the air, but it would go flapping up into the air. When he had almost caught it in his hands, Then his mother gave her cautionous call, "Come, child, come on to the footpath." So this was the calling of mother when he was going to be fed from the eyes. Now, this is the next slide. He ran towards his parent galley and walked abreast of them for a while, being, however, soon left behind, attracted by the little insect and worms along the footpath that were teeming out. Teeming out means coming out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. So this was the time, this was the condition, this was the situation of the nature. And also the child, he was very fascinated. He has a lot of companion with him, like a butterfly, like insect, like other things, where he can take the enjoyment. So he was busy with the insect and butterfly. So this was the game of nature. Now, "Come, child, come," his parents called from the shade of a grove. Grove means group of trees. So here his parents just call him, come, child, come." They called him from the shade of the tree where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. Well, he ran towards them. "Come, child, come," they called to the child. Now again they called to the child, "Come, child, come," who had now gone running in wild capers round the banyan tree, and gathering him up they looked the narrow, winding footpath which led to their fair through the mustard field. As they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths, full of throngs, converging into the whirlpool of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. So this was the situation of the child, and that was the place. Now a shower of young flowers fell upon the child. So this was the love of nature. This was the scene of nature. A shower of young flowers. So the flowers which was just coming out from the branches of tree. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove, and forgetting his parents. So when he was just playing with the nature, then that time he forgot his parents who was just calling him. He began to gather the raining petals in his hands. So he was just gathering all the petals of the flower in his hand, but lo, he heard the cooing of doves. So there was a sound, there was a voice of doves, and ran toward his parents, shouting, "The dove, the dove!" The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hands. So he was very fascinated and also happy with the sound and voice of the bird dove. A sweetness seller hawked. There was a sweetmeat seller who was a hawker and also selling gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi at the corner of entrance. So there was a shop which was at the corner of the entrance of the fair, and he was just selling gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi and jalebi, etc. And a crowd pressed round his counter at the foot of an architecture of many colored sweets, decorated with leaves of silver and gold. So that sweets were just decorated with the leaf of gold and silver. The child stared, open-eyed, with an open eye, and his mouth watered for the barfi. That was his favorite sweet. So barfi was the favorite sweet of that little child, that he was just stared to that particular barfi with his open eye, and his mouth was also watered. Now he slowly murmured, "I want that barfi," but he half knew as he begged that his plea would not be heeded, because his parents would say he was greedy. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. So here child knew very well that his father will not give permission to take that, and he will not give money to purchase that barfi. That is why he just understand by himself he was not able to purchase that barfi. That is why he moved on from there. Now this is the time when he saw a man stood holding a pole with yellow, red, green, and purple balloons flying from it. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of their silken colors, and he was filled with an overwhelming desire to possess them all. But he well knew his parents would never buy him the balloons because they would say he was too old to play with such toys. So he walked on further. Student, this is a this is the condition. This is a very bad condition of the parents because they are unable to purchase anything because they don't want to. They don't want to invest their money on these things because they also don't have, and they were very poor person. That is why they were unable. Now a flower seller hugged. What the flower seller hugged? A garland of gulmohar. A garland of gulmohar. The child seemed irresistibly drawn. He went towards the basket, where the flowers lay heaped and half murmured. He just heaped up and half murmured, "I want that garland." But he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would see that they were cheap. So this little child, have an idea because he very well knew that his parents will not buy these things for him. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. Now this is the next scene of the story. A snack charmer stood playing a flute to a snack which coiled itself in a basket. Its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan, while the music stole into its invisible ears like the gentle tapping of an invisible waterfall. The child went toward the snack charmer, but knowing his parents had forbidden him to hear such chorus music. As the snack charmer played, he proceeded further. Now, this is the next thing. This is the next thing. This is roundabout. So here, student, you can see the excitement of the child. There was a roundabout in full swing. Men, women, and children carried away in a whirling motion, shrieked and cried with dizzy laughter. The child watched them intently, and then he made a bold request. "I want to go on the roundabout, please, father, mother." So here, after watching this roundabout, the child, the little boy, the small boy, the kid was very fascinated, and also he was very excited to go on. That is why he was just requested to his parents. But he knew very well he will be prohibited to go there. He will not get the permission to go there. That is why he knew very well. That is why he requested to his parents. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there. So after just calling these types of things, while on the way, where he was on the way in the fair, he was asking to his parents, but without moving back, he was just asking these things. But at the last, he turned to look at his parents. They were not there ahead of him. He turned to look on either side, but he never find out him. But he never find out them. They were not there. He looked behind. They were not there. There was no sign of them. A full, deep cry rose within his dry throat, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in a real fear, "Mother, father!" There was no reply. So after looking back, when they saw that there was no sign of his parents, he was crying there. But he never find out them. And he just running from there. He was just running from there with the calling, "Mother, father," but there was no reply for him. Now, student, after this description of this story, let us move on this point. Let us discuss, and I have these questions. So Just find out the answer of this question and try to write in your notebook. So student, after these descriptions, I want to tell you again, please like and subscribe my channel. And if you have any doubt, if you have any query, if you have any problem and suggestion, so please comment in my comment section. Thank you. Have a nice day, student.